Okay, so the recent report that has just been released between Publicis and Yahoo was taking a look at a lot of the trends that have been taking place with the change of SVOD moving into the AVOD space, and very much reviewing whether or not the experiences that consumers are seeing in relation to ad attentiveness and ad receptiveness. So the report, the first thing that it showed is that by the end of 2023, the likelihood is the majority of the major SVOD players are going to be making that shift into the AVOD space. We've already seen it with Netflix. Disney Plus has launched within the US. We're expecting that to come across into Europe. And there has been talk about others such as Paramount Plus and the other SVOD players sort of moving into that space. So the question comes is, what do consumers actually feel about that? They've been used to being able to consuming this content without the interruptions of ads. What the report shows is that 46% of consumers would actually rather pay less in order to be able to consume that content. And as long as those ads are contextually relevant and are actually providing them with a good user experience, they're actually perfectly fine with that. The other trend that we're expecting to see is that those SVOD services, as they're shifting across into AVOD, are also starting to take a look at TV fast services, not just from how they're running today, but from an ad-supported model. And the expectation is by the end of 2024 that the majority of them will also move across into that area. Now, you may ask the question, why are consumers okay with that? It's because they're used to that linear-based experience. However, it is absolutely crucial that the way that buyers and supply partners are actually inserting the ad into the content is done in a way that doesn't disrupt the user experience. The report has shown that 66% of users are perfectly fine with ads, as long as they are in the right place. You don't want to suddenly have the middle of a rich plot scene be disrupted by an ad, or to have one of the actors or actresses in mid-sentence and suddenly have an interruption with an ad. And there lies a bit of a problem, because a lot of the content that has actually been produced for SVOD services, for the most part, isn't actually built or produced with ads in mind. If you think about the content that's coming through, with Netflix and Disney Plus, a lot of it is around 23 minutes long. So there isn't actually those natural ad slots. So that is something that we need to be aware of as we make that shift across, first from SVOD to AVOD, and then finally into the fast services. Final part on the report is 56% of people, again, are happy with ads as long as it's providing contextually relevant information. Earlier in the year, we made the announcement that we're repositioning ourselves as Yahoo Advertising, and in part of that, our core strategic pillar and our core strategic focus is very much on our DSP. As part of that DSP, we are currently connected with all of the major CTV and ATV supply partners. But I think the piece where we actually differentiate ourselves is, whilst the SSPs are the pipes that actually enable those, the programmatic buying to take place, it's actually the relationship that we hold with the publishers themselves that allows us to be able to provide more value back to the buyer. What do I mean by that? I mean by the way that we interact with the publisher to understand the insights that they actually have about the viewing habits of their users. Now, it's well known that the majority of CTV supply, there is a limit, or there is a lack, rather, of deterministic data. The majority of that deterministic data and logged-in user base is actually either held by the manufacturers themselves, or it's held by the broadcasters. But there is a plethora of other inventory that's out there. If you take the likes of Pluto, for example, Samsung ads, there's a lot of other additional and premium supply that is available. And they are sitting on a very rich base of data. If you think about dwell time, what are the types of content that people are being very sticky with, that they come back again and again to actually watch? That's not something that we can gather from a DSP perspective, but through our relationships with the publishers, we are able to sort of bring that through to the forefront.